So now that we've finished lessons 1 to 32, learning how to fill those in, we're going to take a look at some of our special lessons, and there are 3 special lessons that we're going to be focused mainly on capital letters in this lesson. So we have, like I said, 3 special lessons, and they consist of the capital letter lesson, the number arithmetic lesson, and the letter writing lesson. And these lessons can be written after lesson 32, and they're complete after lessons 1 to 32 are complete, and you can do that before you begin working on the agriculture, health lessons, or the Bible stories. And these lessons don't follow the other formatted lessons. They're unique because they're more resource lessons than content lessons. You can ask one of the language speakers to work on these lessons with you and to help you. They can be working on them separate from the other writers. So you can even start on these before you finish lessons 1 to 32. So in our primer, with the exceptions of Jesus and God, we will not use capital letters until we come to this lesson because we want to keep things simple for the new readers. So we will introduce them to the capital letters after they've learned all the lowercase individual letters. So once they've learned most of the lowercase letters in the target language, then the capital letters may be introduced. And normally we can introduce most of those single letters by lesson 26, depending on the language. And sometimes we might even move the capital letter lesson earlier if there aren't as many letters in the language. Now, the thing to realize is that for the capital letter lesson has 4 pages, and we'll be looking at each of those individually, but all of the captions and headings that will go on those pages you can find under your small items. You remember small items is one of the pieces that was translated before the primer construction workshop begins. So we're going to first page of the capital letter lesson is going to show how the capital letters look. So we want to take 6 proper names that hopefully are found in the primer already. And then we're going to use those in these boxes so you will recognize the shape of hopefully as our contrast and analogy boxes. So we're going to first write the word with the lowercase letter, break out the first syllable, the lowercase, then repeat the syllable with the uppercase letter, and then repeat the word again with the uppercase. And you'll do that for 6 times. If you don't have 6 names in your lesson so far, you can choose some other very familiar names of cities nearby or people that we can use for this lesson. Then you'll have your writer take those names, those proper nouns, and use them in 6 sentences, and preferably using words that have already been used in the primer to help the new reader. So they'll write the sentence the first time with no capital letters, and then the second time, we're going to repeat the sentence using capital letters where it's appropriate. You can say like here and here. So it's important that you try to use proper names at other places in the sentence besides just the beginning so that the new reader can see that sometimes capitals come in the middle of the sentence if it's a proper noun. And the new words introduced here will still be considered new in later lessons because, once again, this is kind of a resource lesson. It's not teaching individual words. So under your caption and heading 10A, you'll include the caption here, capital or large letters. It depends on what word is in the language that they use to describe the capital letters. So you'll want to use that word. Now the second page of our capital letter lesson is just going to show how the the capital looks for each of the letters in the alphabet of the language. Caution, do not use proper nouns. So here you're not going to use your names and things of places. These are going to be any words found in the language that can be used at the beginning of a sentence where they might be capitalized. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write out your alphabet for that language in 2 columns. And just keep in mind that the alphabetical order for that language may be a little different than English or one of the languages that you speak. So you need to make sure you get the correct alphabetized order for that language. So I'm going to write the lowercase and then the uppercase letter. And then you're going to find a word, or your language speaker is going to have a word that begins with that letter. And then you have it lowercase, and then you'll write below it, you're going to write it in uppercase. You'll do this for all the letters in the language. This is where it's handy if you have a simple dictionary of the language. You can find some common words that begin with those letters, as well as having your language speaker help you. And if possible, you can use words that have already been introduced in the primer, and this will help the new reader once again. Now, just keep in mind that the words, once again, we want them to be able to begin a sentence so that they will actually have a chance of being capitalized in a text. So our caption and heading is 10B, all capital letters and small letters. That will go at the top of the page. So our third lesson contains several of the Jesus stories or Bible stories that have been written in the earlier lessons. So you're going to choose 5 or 6 stories from lessons 12 to 25. And you want to choose stories that have some sentences that begin with words other than Jesus. So like in this instance, the Pocot, you can see here the sentences. This one has a lot of K's, but then here's an M. And then, so you want to make sure that, and here we have some other words that are in the middle of the story. So you just want to repeat those and just make sure that the words are capitalized that need to be capitalized. So names, places, beginning of sentence, that kind of thing. So our caption and heading is going to state, read these sentences. And so you'll just pick that up from your captions and headings under your small items and just write it in. Now the 4th page shows how to form letters using numbered arrows, gives them a place to write their name, and also shows them how to use to make numbers. So you're going to write the capital letters in alphabetical order, and you can indicate how to form them with arrows. And I wouldn't worry too much about this because there's nice arrow fonts these days that have all the arrows pre-done. So just as long as you write it out in alphabetical order, so whoever's doing the desktop publishing can put them in the right order with the arrow font. We have a place then, like I said, for them to write their name, and we'll have a heading there for write the name, a heading here for how to write capital letters, and then how to write the numbers. In this case, we're using Arabic numbers, but perhaps there's a writing system like the Cyrillic writing system or the Korean where the numbers would be written differently. And so then you would want to use the appropriate numbers. All right, so those are the 4 pages of our capital letter lesson and our capital headings that go there.